one of the stories that is most requested when I get hired to speak is about this time that I got dumped at the Olive Garden. Like,
I got to hear that story. That's funny. So, my wife and I's first date was at the Olive Garden.
Was it the one in Victorville?
No, in Vegas.
Do you know the one I'm talking about though?
I know Victorville. Yeah.
So I'll share that one, and because it really is, it is even a full circle moment being in Vegas now.
Why were you in
Victorville?
Victorville?
So I was living in LA.
Okay.
I was dating someone who lived in Las Vegas. So we would make that drive a lot.
You guys just met in the middle.
And no, we would make it together sometimes.
Oh,
and we'd
okay.
meet in the middle.
Oh, got it.
And so we had just had a wild weekend in Las Vegas, and we decided to go, load up on some carbs after being at the beach club and go to the Olive Garden because hello, unlimited breadsticks. And when you're here, you're family, right?
Yeah, I love the Olive Garden. People are haters.
And he was much older than I was. I was so excited to be there. Like I had my Louis Vuitton purse, but like I got a soft spot in my heart for the Olive Garden.
Yeah.
And so we get there and I am just thrilled. And the server comes over and asks if we're ready to order. And truly, it was a really big decision that I could not decide between the chicken fettuccine Alfredo or the full tour of Italy, which if you're not familiar, it's the chicken parm, the lasagna, and the fettuccine, and of course, unlimited salad breadsticks. And I was like, I need a little more time. No problem. She drops off the breadsticks at the table. I look up and my boyfriend at the time is bright red, fuming. He stands up, slams his hands on the table, throws the breadsticks across the restaurant and said, I'm done with you. And right, like you laugh now and I'm smiling telling the story because it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. This grown ass man throws breadsticks across the table and is pissed off that his girlfriend needs like 30 more seconds to figure out what she wants to order. And so he left and went back to the car. And and the thing that I hate to admit is I didn't laugh. I didn't call an Uber because Uber didn't exist. I didn't call a cab. I didn't give him the finger. I didn't leave. Instead, I was so embarrassed. I went ahead and ordered, I think, both the tour of Italy and the fettuccine and whatever he wanted. And I paid for the check. And I was like, oh, he wasn't feeling well. He just went to the car. And I cried to the car and I got to the car. He was still fuming. Like, luckily he waited. But I ended up apologizing to him for what I had done wrong and for my existence. And no one understands like what do you mean, Giselle?
Yeah.
Like you're this confidence coach. Like you were this person who like you would never put up with that behavior. Now I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I was in a relationship for a very long time that initially he started out as my best friend in the whole wide world. And if you've ever heard the story about the frogs and boiling water, do you know that one?
No.
So if you put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out immediately.
Okay.
But if you put a frog in room temperature water and slowly raise the temperature up degree by degree by degree, it will boil to death.
Yeah.
And that's how we find ourselves in a lot of situations of discomfort or where we're questioning our self-worth, whether it might be a relationship, it might be a job.
Yeah.
But I entered that relationship knowing exactly who I was and having very high standards. And all of a sudden I was in this relationship with someone who was dictating what I was wearing, what I was eating, if I was worthy of affection. And I allowed for him to speak to me in that way. But in that moment, I knew something's wrong. Like it took me a very long time. And I wish in that moment that I could tell you that as soon as we got back to LA that I broke up with him. But it took me months and months of getting back together and breaking up and getting back together and breaking up and continuing to be told that I would amount to nothing, and especially without him.
Yeah.
But when I finally knew I was done, I was done.
Yeah.
And what's wild is that it took me months and months and really the years of that relationship to finally have the courage to say something that only took me less than 10 seconds, which was, I'm done with you. Never speak to me again. And it's amazing how in that moment, it only took 10 seconds to completely change my life.
It took years to
build
it up,
to get to that moment. And so when people hear that story, maybe they can identify with me. Maybe they've been a horrible spouse or partner or they had that immature insecurity. Maybe the way that they speak to themselves is that person. Like you bully yourself in that way. But that moment, I promised myself I would never let myself be treated in that way. And I would never let myself to get to that low point in a relationship and in confidence. And so I feel like, you know, one of the chips I had on my shoulder was to prove this person wrong and to prove that I could do everything by myself, that I didn't need him or his relationships or his connections or his validation to find happiness, to be worthy of love, to be worthy of success. And so, yeah, now every time I come to Las Vegas, which now I fly first class, I don't even drive, you know, or
take that, whatever your name is.
He who shall never be named. But, and now.
How's he doing now? I know you've never stalked it.
Watch. So I blocked him on everything.
Okay.
But TikTok didn't exist back then.
Right.
So in 2020, I got a DM slide.
Okay.
From him.
Yep.
And I think I might have actually been giving relationship advice that might have potentially had to do with that relationship. And he sent me a DM and he said, I always knew you would be successful.
How'd that make you feel?
It confirmed everything, but I think there was a part of me that hoped that maybe he had learned from that or had, you know, grown up a little bit and he was exactly the same person.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's doing, where he's living. I've since blocked him on TikTok. I don't know his phone number anymore. And, you know, at that point, I was so indifferent to the situation. I had healed. I had grown. I have done so much work.
Yeah.
You know, even work that on things I didn't even know needed the work.
Yeah.
That when he said that, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I might have giggled a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, dang, this is a blast from the past.
And I didn't even think about it until I was getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to tell that story on a stage in Las Vegas. And I had a moment of looking around at the audience. And actually in that audience that day, there was someone who came up to me and she said, hey, I just want to let you know that I heard you share that story I don't remember if it was a caption or TikTok, and she goes, you're the reason why I'm here today. You're the reason why I left my relationship, started my own business, entered that particular industry. And like, you know, we get so caught up in, I want the video to go viral. I want to get millions of views.
Yeah.
If you get the right people to see it, you can save lives, change lives, attract more of the right community. But, you know, for me, the unique differentiator is I'm not afraid to talk about some of the lowest points of my life.